dropped in a couple of columns, the Fairfield County Department number, and then in red, the 2015 budget, which is what we're in right now, just to give you an idea of where we are on each of these. And as Mr. Pope was just saying, explaining what it is, by definition, it's a statute or regulation that requires the state or local government to perform certain actions with no money provided for fulfilling this requirement. And before I get into the numbers, just to give a little explanation, that 2015 budget might be for that whole department. This mandate might be just a little piece of that whole department, but we don't really cost allocate to the mandates. We just, it's handled within the departments we have existing. So some of them, it is easily picked out, and some of them is just a part of the operational department. Animal shelter is the first one. Of course, we do provide an animal shelter, but we also provide a whole animal control department, which includes an adoption center and so forth. So that budget is just not for the animal shelter. The annual audit, which is what Elliott Davis does for us, that budget is $120. Tax assessor, that's their budget, and they basically fulfill all these roles. The building codes, that budget, that whole department is building, planning, and zoning. So there's a lot more that goes on in there than just building codes. Do y'all want me to read these, or just want me to give you the y'all give me a little direction here? Okay. A couple of them also, if you'll flip them back, let's see. Like on page 3, the Department of Disability and Special Needs, the Department of Mental Health, these dollar amounts come in a form of allocation that we give to an existing agency. So that amount is what we contribute to that agency to provide that service within the county. There are a couple others on there. Those are pretty easily identified by nice round numbers. And then back on page 4, emergency medical services. That is for the entire EMS department. Emergency preparedness is our emergency management department, which provides our 911 service and our command center. You know, if we had a disaster or emergency situation, that would be that entire emergency response. On e-waste, I have a little red note under there. That is a part of our solid waste budget. We use a service to properly dispose of that stuff. It is not an individual department for electronic type waste. Try to pick out some of the other ones. On page 5, the Department of Health and Environmental Control, that is an allocation to DNEC. The Medically Indigent Assistance Program is an allocation to the Department of Health and Human Services. So some of these you can see are, you know, they're agencies already established. We provide money to help fund the services. Others are actual departments of the county. On the back, the Register of Deeds, that is not a separate person or department. That happens in the clerk of court's office, so that would be a part of the clerk's budget.
And one thing is, I know several council members asked me about this, and you have it in here. Under the public defender, the public defender, and I think this legislation was passed maybe 3 or 4 years ago, where lots of the funding used to come from the Office of Indigent Defense for public defenders. Legislation was passed that pretty much kind of stipulated whatever the local government, well, the county was funding the public defender at that time, they're locked in place, so you could never give them any less. So now they're on par like with the sheriff's department. So just like it is with the sheriff's department, you cannot decrease the sheriff's department's budget. You don't have to necessarily give them any additional funding, but you can't reduce their funding, nor can you reduce the public defender's funding per statute now.
Is that the only two?
Well,
that you know of, you can't reduce?
Well, I think Mr. Anderson was mentioning to me, those are the only ones that I know that have some type of statutory,
right.
But you know, with elected officials though, pretty much, those are pretty much just kind of left alone. Paul? Yes, ma'am.
There was something in the law we came across a couple of years ago, if you can remember, that I know we dealt with it with the Treasurer's Office, that stated that in order to reduce they had to be consulted.
Yeah.
Have to be what?
Consultant.
Consulted, we couldn't just go ahead and say, well, you know, you're not using this money in the past 2 years, we're gonna use it. We couldn't do it, we would have to have a meeting with the elected official to discuss it, and if they said no, then we had to maintain the same budget.
Now, in the process, in our structure that we performed last year, we literally, as a staff, we met with every department, whether they be an outside allocation agency or a department. So everyone had an opportunity to meet, present their budget. One of the things for me is I need to be able to familiarize myself with the departments and whatnot. We plan on doing the same thing this year. So those discussions are had, but as we get to the end of this exercise, what's key for me and the staff is, this year is, we want some clear consensus direction from the council as to, and I'll talk more in detail about that a little bit later, as to what type of budget that you want, because based upon what type of budget you want, then that directs me as to what type of discussions I need to have with the departments. For instance, just as an example, if you come back and say that you want a budget reduction, then any idea about cost of living increases, those type of things like that, I mean, those things don't generally go together where you're having a cost of living increase and you're going to reduce the budget by 10%, even though you can, because budgeting is a matter of choices based upon the revenue that you have. But you certainly, if we were to do that, you certainly going to have to cut some services. I mean, it's just not matching with what you do. So I interrupted Ms. Bass. I'll let her finish her part.
I think we left off at the register of deeds. That's part of the clerk's office. Road maintenance is obviously our clerk of court's office. Not Cheryl's.
Yes, it is. Cheryl said we can't touch her.
Road maintenance, of course, our public works department. You see them out and about all over.
Is this the CTC fund?
No,
No.
this is the general fund portion
Right.
of that.
That's what,
Well, the reason I asked that because it said at
Right.
least 25% of it is based on C fund. That's the reason I was asking.
This,
well,
what I
it
have,
does say that, doesn't it?
Yes, it does, and that's why I'm asking, because this is a different figure than what we were told at the CTC meeting.
What's the difference about it?
The figure's higher. Said that's $1 million, this is $1.5 million.
The C fund money runs through this budget.
Right. I'm
this is
just.
the
kinda-
revenue account.
Yeah, it's based on, it's on a reimbursement basis,
Yeah.
even, it's held by the state. So
Okay.
the work has to be done first, invoices,
We
reimbursement.
pay it,
requests.
and they reimburse us.
But the question was but this is the C fund with the pastor money.
And so my question is, why is this $500,000 more than what they told us they got?
This, what I have listed is the general fund budget part of that. The CTC funds are in a special revenue
Right.
account. This would be for the entire road maintenance department, which,
It's grading roads, putting gravel on it, cleaning out ditches, hauling
Put on
sidewalks.
road treatment.
So just for clarification, really, you have a department title here, and then you have the mandates, the statutory mandates that may
Existing
fit
departments.
into those departments.
Yes.
That's right, okay.
so this is that entire department's budget.
The part that the CTC was talking about, I think was right around $1 million.
$1 million,
Yeah.
right.
That they try to split 75-25, but they aren't required to. That was very clear.
Thank you, ma'am.
On page 7, the salary supplements, it says that supplements are provided to clerks of court, probate judges, coroners, sheriffs, register of deeds, auditors, and treasurers. We do receive some supplements for the state that go in addition to the wages that those folks earn from the county. The sheriff and other county officials' office space, I didn't really list a dollar amount there either, but we provide space for our elected officials to have apartment and office and so forth. Is that?
Whenever we receive those supplements, they are part of the total package we pay for their salary, correct?
Yes.
Okay, let's say we give them 50,000 and we get 10. So we take off the 10, I mean, we still add to the 10 to come up with 50 for whatever they get, correct? You're not following me. All right.
What?
Let's say that my salary as one of those is 50,000 total that I'm gonna take home
Yes.
before taxes. But the state's gonna give us 10 back, which will have offset it.
Right.
So in other words, we have a 40,000 here that's unfunded.
Exactly.
All right.
And of course, if you recall, y'all had passed elected officials pay plan, what was that? About 3 years?
2 or 3 years ago, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, that stipulates
How they're paid.
how they're paid. And we amended that, this past year, we amended it with the coroner.
Correct. And those salaries carry over as a rule to the next person.
Right, but there's actually, if a new person is elected, it's like 10.
It could-
If they start over,
Yeah,
it
20%.
usually
It's like 20%. Which is actually a good practice, because in
Yes.
most jurisdictions, when you run, you get the, whatever the salary is.
Then the last two on that page, the solicitor and the solid waste, again, similar to road maintenance, solid waste is for that entire department. That includes, the chipping sites, the recycling centers, all that, waste management across the whole county. Yes, sir.
Solicitor is an elected official. We have to, the mandate is we have to give them $64,000 to operate his office.
Yeah, this one actually comes as an allocation through us. He's not on our payroll, so to speak, as an employee. This is an allocation to the solicitor's office
Is mandated by the state to do this.
to give money to that. I don't know if the mandate indicates
Yeah,
64,000.
and we share the solicitor in the,
Chester and London.
the circuit. Right. And actually, Lancaster, of course, has the lion's share of that. Of course, they pay more, but this is our, almost kind of like our proportional share.
And that's for the,
Got offices and that sort of thing.
Right.
and that's for the salary, service, or
Well, part of ours is actually goes toward salaries for the running of their offices.
I guess we'll cover the solicitor and his staff,
That's right.
not just one.
let me just digress and go back to the public defenders. With this, what they're getting was 40-something, 52. I don't know how many we have. I thought we might have, I mean, given to the record, folks that go in and out of the courts, it seems like they're all over those for public defenders, and we only have one, and that's what they get to represent with a multitude of people.
I don't know how many, and I know it's been Bob Fitzsimmons, but for some reason, he was in the solicitor's office.
Yeah, Frank.
Rick's in there now.
But yeah, he ran for solicitor, but didn't make it. So and I was
He
wondering,
was in there already, wasn't he? So we have two? Two, right.
and so they split that 52,000, including that for their salaries
That's just our portion, they probably get from the.
Yeah.
From in the circuit.
in the state.
Yeah.
Right, that's the Fairfield County portion.
Because I just heard a lot of public defenders just want to walk out, because when they handle cases, be it from murders or other things, they're just grossly underpaid, and there's a lot of work associated with that, and I just want to know how that works.
But we never gave them increases very much at all.
I know.
And everybody fussed, but then we fussed about the backlog of the cases that maybe we needed to increase it. So, but there was always some kind of disagreement there that we see if we need to increase that.
Well, they always turn into question.
We want them to do an effective job, we need them, but we need to know that. I don't know all the specifics
Well,
of
I
that.
think what you have to do, if I can't, and if I'm an indigent and I can't pay, I think we have to go to the clerk's office, and there's a fee up front we've got to pay for them to fill out the form and determine if we are eligible for public defender. And I know in the past, and I don't know if they still do this, if these two guys are not available, then there's an approved list of attorneys, and they just keep going down the list and keep repeating it. And, but on the state level, that fund ran out so quickly that these other attorneys didn't wanna do it because it was gratis kind of thing.
And actually, they're actually picking up more now, because now they're actually doing summary court things. Because primarily the public defenders used to just be in, what we in the South call big
Big
court.
court.
But now they've moved into summary court because of case backlog. Mr. Anderson reminded me, I think that this was pretty much from the public defender side. That was a budget request. And I remember us working with the solicitor's office. We pretty much kind of funded them based on their request. So, you know, that's what they had asked for. And the solicitor, in fact, the new solicitor stopped by the office. Was that last week or something? And he was saying pretty much, you know, where all of their work is now it's pretty much in Lancaster. I mean, he was saying